It's been far, far too long. Welcome, women and gentlemen, back to the most epic series of all time, the biggest flexes in anime 16. If you want the biggest flexes in anime 17 to come out within a week, well then all you have to do is smash like, because 70,000 likes and that will happen. If not, it will be whenever I so desire. So now with the obvious necessary like requirement goal thingy out of the way, I have some pretty top tier flexes. And I am looking forward to sharing them with you. Hope you're ready for some epic mind freak flexes, because that's definitely where we're starting off. This video is sponsored by Crossing Void Global, and more on that later. First flex, we'll be talking about Enel from One Piece. Enel, top tier mad lad right here. The guy lives on a sky island, raining lightning bolts down to the point that, yes, I'm just gonna get to the meat and potatoes of the epicness of this flex. He's such a huge flexer that he gets the people that inhabit the sky islands to think he's God. You know, G-O-D, God, like the omnipotent being thing. Yeah, that's what he gets people to believe he is. Immediately, a massive flex. And a flex that pretty much cannot even be topped by anything you can imagine. He just lives in his little palace place type thingo with those massive earlobes that you can't even make fun of or it'll turn you to ash. And whenever anyone, anywhere within his domain does anything to defy his righteous judgment, he will rain down lightning and annihilate their faces. And everyone knows this, and everyone knows there's nothing they can do about it. Must be that Enel is a god. And also mad respect to Enel because he straight out, flat out says, yeah, I do it because I'm a god. The guy's earlobes, aside from the fact that you can't make fun of them or it'll turn you into a pile of ash, Enel could also hear anything that goes on anywhere to rain these lightning bolts upon people, to flex on them further. When Enel's actually finally beaten, he ends up going to subjugate the moon. He's like, all right, I want it to go higher up anyway. Goes to the moon, takes over, has like control of all these weird robot type things. The mad lad doesn't even have a bounty because, you know, the world government never heard of him, because if they would have, you know, he may have dropped righteous judgment on their asses. He just kind of sits and does his own thing at all times. And even while doing his own thing, he is an absolute terror. We're definitely going to see him again. I mean, him being on the moon, that's a major plot point. Some might even think the One Piece is on the moon. Or maybe it even is the moon. I wonder if anyone ever did a very awesome One Piece theory on that. Well, if someone did, it would definitely be linked in the description. And it was also me. Spoilers. Enel's entire existence is fascinating too. At that point in the One Piece series, you had Luffy and the crew bumping into warlords, finally learning a little bit about Yonko. They hear about how Ace is chasing Blackbeard. They learn about the world government and the Marines. They're mixed up in all this wacky shiz. And then their entire world gets flipped upside down when they go to Sky Island and meet the ultimate terror of Enel that they only beat literally because of Pokemon type advantages. He was so badass, he wasn't even beaten by being overpowered. He was beaten because he was literally up against a rubber boy that his lightning didn't affect. He was beaten by sheer dumb luck because that's the only way to get rid of G-O-D Enel. Now, there's another flex in regards to Enel, and it wasn't exactly done by Enel, but it was definitely done through Enel. And Enel was definitely the top dog in this situation, and I know it's not gonna get its own mention on the entire massive, glorious series of the biggest flexes in anime, but when Sanji gets fried by Enel, and Sanji's holding a cigarette, and he was like, even though he was burnt to a crisp, saying to Enel, thanks, I needed a light, and then takes a puff of smoke from the cigarette that was charred by the lightning strike. I think that flex was huge. Massive on Sanji's behalf, even though he was just annihilated in 2 seconds by Enel. And to all of you saying, Nux, it's actually pronounced Eneru because that's what the dub said. Alright, well, time to get flexed on by Lord Nuxinor. It's called Eneru in the dub because Japanese people, for the most part, cannot pronounce the letter L and pronounce it as Ru. So it's Eneru, like Zawarudo. That's right, it's Enel. The dub was wrong. Sorry, fam. Just had to flex on you there. Next flex. And this is also a mind freak flex from the legendary second Mizukage from Naruto. I wanted to talk about this for the longest goddamn time. I am so glad that finally episode 16 of the biggest flexes in anime reared its ugly head, allowing me to finally talk about this absolute beast. flex. So, as far as the Great Ninja War goes, we got to learn about a ton of ancient Kage. The Raikage. The third one, that is. The second Tsushikage. We got to see all the Hokages come back. But there's one Kage in particular that really does not get enough credit. And that one is the second Mizukage. It's the weird-looking dude that summons this massive shell thing that casts Genjutsu on people. For those of you who don't know, Genjutsu in the Naruto-verse is this absolutely broken thingo that no one uses except people with Sharingans. And the only people that do use it, like Kurenai, uses it on someone with a Sharingan, like Itachi, and gets counter-bodied by Genjutsu. Genjutsu is only useful by Sharingan people for like 1 second by Jiraiya against Pain with help of the Toad fam, which kinda look like Baby Yoda, and the second Mizukage. Now, while the third Raikage was fighting like, I don't know, Naruto clone, and the second Tsushikage was fighting like the third Tsushikage, and Garo was fighting the previous Kazekage, the second Mizukage really didn't get any hype because he was just fighting normies. All the normies that Madara later bodies gathers around him, and they're like throwing kunai and shiz, and they can't do anything to the guy. Second Mizukage does not get any cred because of this. They even gave Genkiku and Shiminkiku more screen time fighting Darui than they gave the second Mizukage, which is so sad because this personality is just straight fire and glorious. This man inadvertently casts a Genjutsu so powerful, all the people around him cannot do anything. Now, this is probably the reason why they didn't put him in any major fights. It wouldn't have exactly been the flashiest of battles. He would have just, won with Genjutsu. And here is the biggest flex of all. The fact that he's annihilating all of these ninja. And at the same time that he's doing that, being that his motions are being controlled, but his mind is not, he's explaining to them how to beat him. He's saying, okay, that's gonna be an illusion. I'm over here actually. Yes, don't do this, you're gonna end up attacking each other. And even though he's explaining all this stuff to everyone, hoping that they'll defeat him, they just can't. His Denjutsu and even straight up ninjutsu are way too powerful. The guy's annihilating hundreds of shinobi while trying to explain to them exactly what to do to beat him. The guy's even better. He's like, all right, there's this one technique that it's like my total weakness. I don't really want to tell you because I want to be like remembered by history as this really cool guy who, even though I was trying to tell you how to stop me, you still weren't able to. Okay? That's hilarious. And then he proceeds to tell them anyway. And he tells them every goddamn step of the way how to take him down, and they just can't. And the funniest thing is, and what really makes this a flex, is that he is internally loving it. He's like, all right, I know that for the sake of the shinobi wild, it's much better if you defeat me. So I'm gonna do my best to help you beat me. But also, I'm kind of happy that you can't, and I'm annihilating all you young ones. Low-key, a huge flex. And I love the second Mizukage, even though he barely got any screen time. It's these bits of Naruto lore that makes the show so goddamn great. Easily one of my highlights of the war arc. Next flex! Izaya Orihara from Durarara. So, straight up, Izaya is one of my favorite anime characters of all time. He was like really high in my top 100 list that I just dropped a couple days ago, and he goddamn deserves it. I love these overthought out, sinister and smug psychos so much. Not just because of the flexes, but, well, the flexes definitely help. In a previous flex video, I talked about Shizuo Heiwajima and why he flexes so well. I mean, Shizuo's the guy that rips up street signs to use as baseball bats and throws cars and vending machines at his opponents to try and take them down. But the real reason why I think Shizuo was such a fantastic flexer is because in the city of Ikebukuro, which is the hub of nutsos, which is secretly why Durarara is freaking awesome, you have all these ridiculous gangs. You have the yellow scarves and the blue squares and the dollars, which is like the secret freaking gang thing. There's also like 2 different KGB squads hidden undercover in there. There's like mad scientistos and Doulahans. I can keep going. The amount of badass ridiculousness that goes on in Ikebukuro is astounding, whether it's natural or supernatural. And that said and done, even though there's all that wacky shiz going on, the one guy that everyone says stay away from is Shizuo Heiwajima, this random guy who's just somehow really strong. He's not part of a gang, he's not part of a mafia, he's not part of the KGB, and he's not supernatural in any way. He's just freaking ripped, and everyone's terrified of him. He is the only person that commands this level of fear and awe from every other being, whether alive or undead. You have mind-controlling sword armies, okay? And they're scared to shice of Shizuo. Now, the only person that isn't scared of Shizuo is Izaya Orihara. He's the guy that picks a fight with Shizuo whenever he gets the chance, because Shizuo can swing around any street sign he wants, and Izaya will just deftly dodge around it, enjoying the chaos getting spread by Shizuo's rampage, and just reveling in the twister of disaster that is following him throughout the city. Well, I kind of see why I like him now. Very suspicious. It's almost like I also kind of like reveling in chaos or something. Must be a coincidence. The beauty of the chaos in Ikebukuro, even aside from Shizuo, is that since there's so much going on, everyone has questions and everyone's looking for something. Whether it's the mind-controlling swords, or the freaking KGB, or the dollars, or all these hidden mafia leaders that are mixed throughout the general populace. These ridiculous psycho biker police officers with this undead Doulahan motorcycle rider. Everyone has an objective. Everyone's looking for something and trying to find something out, and no one knows how to go about it. It causes this massive chaos to the point that in the first season we're introduced to 3 protagonists as main protagonists. I mean, I consider the city Ikebukuro the protagonist of Durarara, but the 3 main characters we're introduced to are just kind of friends in school, and then it turns out each of them is the leader of some crazy underground organization that's unbelievable in their own way. Everyone is looking for answers, and no one has any of them except for Izaya Orihara. You heard of conventional jobs before. You know, assassins, hitmen, mercenaries, all that stuff. That's like old school stuff. Izaya makes a living by being an information broker. He will give you info that you need if you give him something that is more valuable to him. Because this guy just likes watching the chaos. He flexes on Zawarudo, and everyone in the city knows Izaya Orihara. He's the guy everyone knows, no one trusts, and everyone knows that they could get what they need if they go to him, but they'll end up giving up something way too important to do it. My favorite flex of Izaya, if I had to pinpoint one exactly, as opposed to the very nature of his character, he gets kidnapped by this group, and they have like a bag over his head. And he set it up in a way that they end up getting into this whole argument if perhaps the guy that they kidnapped wasn't actually Izaya. And they're all like losing their mind, trying to figure it out. They eventually unmask him and to find out it actually was Izaya, but it turned out Izaya planned for them to capture him and stall that amount of time for Izaya's ragtag band of psycho badasses to show up, kick the entire gang that captured him, and make out with all the stuff that he wanted to get from them. No one messes with Izaya Orihara, except for the fact that he gets punched at the end of every single season of Durarara, just to let you know that, yeah, there's more chaos brewing. But aside from all of that, this man is the greatest flexer in the city, and, well, one of my favorite anime characters of all time. If you can't tell yet, I highly recommend the series Durarara. It's a great show, and you can't really go wrong. Next flex! And it's from Asuna from Sword Art Online. Alright, so I was originally considering talking about the epic flexes Asuna does when, you know, in Alicization, she finds this extremely top secret army base and manages to infiltrate and force them to obey to her whims and stuff. Yeah, that was pretty epic. I just thought that I didn't want to talk about a massive flex that made no sense according to the overall plot of the story. So I wanted to talk about older Asuna flexes because hell yeah, let's do this. I always have to have one troll character in all these flexes. Basically, as a member of the anime community when Sword Art Online actually began airing, and when I say member, I mean someone that watched anime. I didn't have a channel at that point, but it was really fun to see the community take and how everyone loved Sword Art Online when it first began. When this thing started, the community was on fire. And one of the things that a lot of people loved about SAO when it first started was Asuna. Because when Asuna was introduced, if you remember, she was a goddamn damn interesting character. They introduced her as this girl who was always alone, didn't really know what she was doing in the game. Kirito partners up with her because, let's be honest, she makes his sword go online. And then it turns out she is pretty badass after all. She had a very distinct personality that was given to her in episode 2 of Sword Art Online. And I say in episode 2 because that interesting personality was immediately replaced with being a generic tsundere. At first she hated Kirito because he was traveling alone and stuff, and then she was like, oh my god, I actually realized that Kirito is the goddamn coolest piece of swordsman on the face of the server. And she proceeded to flex on the entire fandom when everyone realized that, yeah, she was just your typical plain old tsundere. I had to do it. Sorry, fam. That said and done, I am in fact including Asuna to this list because I believe her flex was on a much more meta level. Now, I don't really get the chance to talk about something like this all this much, and I do believe to a certain extent she did flex on the anime community. Not because, oh, at first we thought she was an interesting character, then actually, no, she's boring. No, that's not really what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that I believe the actual romance element to the first 15 episodes of Sword Art Online was actually great. I think Asuna freaking did a wonderful job being the character that she was supposed to be. I like the idea that she was so respected there needed to be this Kuradil bastard following her around that Kirito proceeded to flex on. And then when that guy tried to kill Kirito, she ended up showing up at the nick of time to kill him. Not to mention that even though everyone who likes Sword Art Online likes to constantly mention how, oh yes, Kirito, most manly badass guy ever. This guy, he has like 2 swords and he's probably epic and everyone should respect him and stuff. But let's be honest, Asuna wore the pants in the family. Asuna said, let's adopt this ridiculous looking child that shouldn't really be here. They adopted the ridiculous looking child that shouldn't be here. Asuna wanted Kirito to do something. She would threaten him with a butter knife and he would listen. Asuna flexed on the Knights of the Blood Oath when she was like, see ya fam, I'm going along with hubby, even though she had such a ridiculously high position, and then she proceeded to flex on hubby, becoming the matriarch of the relationship. Yes, her flex is definitely kind of degraded as the seasons continued, but I think in the first enclosed 15 episodes of Sword Art Online, Asuna did her role amazingly. She pulled off a great female lead, and yeah, maybe this wasn't even Asuna flexing. Maybe this was just Lord Nuxenor flexing on the YouTube community that likes hating on SAO. I don't even know at this point. Let me know in the comments what you think, and definitely smash like, because don't you want Biggest Flexes 17 to come out sooner? I mean, duh! But now I believe it's time to talk about this video's sponsor. Didn't want to put it right in the beginning, but thank you very much, Crossing Void Global, for sponsoring this video. Crossing Void Global is the RPG for you. It is an all-star anime game that features anime characters from over 25 different anime, including characters like Izaya Orihara from Durarara or Asuna from Sword Art Online. And they also have many other anime, like characters from Railgun, Shakugan no Shana, and I still have 4 flexes planned for this video, and 2 of the flexes are from characters from Crossing Void. And the other ones are from Furumeto Naruto, Mr. Perusa, and Hunter x Hunter. Fam, you collect your favorite husbandos and waifus from all these different series, including like billions more. I mean, that was a slight exaggeration. It's only like 25, but 25 is a lot of series, especially if there's a crossover storyline getting characters from Toradora to meet the characters from Oreimo. You get to use the character's signature attacks, whether it's Railgun from the Index franchise, or it's, you know, just Shizuo Heiwajima throwing a massive vending machine. You upgrade them, you battle them, and you get the waifu on waifu action you won't get anywhere else. Side note, you can upgrade your waifus to get cool emotes and stuff. And double side note, Crossing Void is one of the best communities ever. Their Facebook and Twitter pages are hosting tons of events, so definitely follow them on their social media to be a part of the action. And Christmas is coming to Crossing Void Global. The 3-week Christmas update, starting on December 11th, will be awesome, and you can celebrate it with your favorite anime characters. Dual Blade Kirito, the least memed on anime character of all time, is joining the Void World. The Christmas specials has great limited time illustrations. You get extra awesome shiz. 300 players will be selected to receive the premium Christmas postcards. And even though I shouldn't be as excited about this as I am, because it should be lame, but it's amazing. You remember Flappy Bird, the game that took the world by storm? That's right, new mini game, Flappy Saku. It's Flappy Bird, just the weeb version. Hell yeah! Link in the description to download it for free on iOS or Android. And with that said, thanks for sponsoring, and next Lex from the legendary Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is the only correct way to pronounce the Full Metal Alchemist Brother. I almost can't even say it at this point. Disgusting. We got one of the best girls ever, Olivia Armstrong. Okay, we all knew that she would make it to the biggest flexes in anime at some point. And welcome to the biggest flexes in anime 16, where finally we get to talk about Olivia. Now, I think when most people think of Olivia's massive flexes, it's the fact that even though she's not an alchemist, everyone's terrified of her. Also, the name of her fort is Fort Briggs, and I don't know many bigger flexers than Briggs from All Day Anime. Yeah, that's probably on second thought not what most people consider to be her biggest flexes, but it's definitely very cool. She walks around with a sword, and she proceeds to flex on everyone. She leads an invasion into the capital from her little fort, and she takes over. The fact that her brother, Alex Luis Armstrong, the guy that's literally, as opposed to just metaphorically flexing on everything and everyone, with those twinkly shiny things everywhere, he's terrified of her. They get into a little squabble at one point, and she beats the living snot out of the guy. She flexes constantly on everyone just by her charisma alone, as opposed to just straight up being one of the best fighters in the series, even though she doesn't use alchemy. In my personal opinion, though, her biggest flex is when there's this super high-ranking officer in the Amestris government that's saying to her, "Oh, you're actually an amazing general. I am a huge fan of you and stuff. And, wink wink, since the core members of the central government are actually secretly corrupt and working on getting immortality, you can, be corrupt along with us and also get immortality. That would be pretty epic." And he proceeds to explain to her how the foundation of the entire country is corrupt in this way, and they selected her to be a part of the inner circle. To which she says, "No, you don't understand. You will be the foundation of the country." And then she proceeds to pick him up and throw him into a vat of cement that they are in the middle of cementing a floor that was just destroyed by a previous attack on Fort Briggs. Bam, she had the greatest pun of all time. She literally made this guy the foundation of the country. She was offered immortality, and she flexed on that idea, flexed on his own wording, threw him to slowly drown in cement, all in front of all of her officers, knowing with her extreme charisma, all of her soldiers would continue to follow her, even though she just, kind of commit massive treason by killing a super high-ranking official guy from the government. But still, she was so certain that even after killing this official, all of her people would still follow her wholeheartedly. And then, she turned him into the foundation of the country, which again, I think that's hilarious, personally. I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of a sadist, but goddamn, Olivia, this was the biggest flex ever. So glad you could make it to the biggest flexes in anime 16. I feel bad that I can't, make this video like 4 hours long, because I have so many more flexes I want to talk about. So definitely smash that like button so I can talk about them sooner, damn it. Next flex, our lovely main woman from Bludgeoning Angel. Alright. So most people don't know what this is, probably because it's like an old anime and stuff, and that's perfectly fine. I'm glad Crossing Void's around and that this isn't Crossing Void, because I get to talk about an anime that I probably otherwise wouldn't have even thought of to talk about. It's a story about this dude who, makes friends with Angel Woman, who is busty like most angels should be, and she has this very terrifying, massive spiked mace. Now, I feel like any examples of the show that I actually talk about will only spoil the moments themselves, because some of the moments in Bludgeoning Angel are gold. Whenever he annoys her or does something for whatever reason, she'll bludgeon him with this terrifying bat thing, turning him into a pile of mulch, and then she'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that," and then bring him back to life to be totally fine. He ends up so traumatized by this ridiculous cycle of events that continuously happens again and again and again. I mean, they accidentally, like, flush him down a drain after he's turned to mulch by one of her massive bat swings. And, well, you know, there's a lot of ecchi in there because, well, that's a good reason to get her annoyed. And when she gets annoyed, she bludgeons him. And she's annoyed because he peeks at her etchiness. Do you see the cycle that we're working with here? It's a total gag anime. And before I actually recommend this anime to you, because that's not exactly what I'm doing here, watch some clips of it on YouTube. If you find it hilarious, well then, pick up the show. But it's not a humor that's for everyone, as she proceeds to flex on him for, you know, like 12 episodes straight. Like, legit, straight up, and it just gets more and more wacky as she finds different ways to annihilate him, and then feel bad, so she brings him back to life. And then more angels come, and then they flex on each other, and then they kill him in, like, the crosswind of different battles, and then like, oh, sorry about that, let's bring you back to life. I don't know, I find it funny. Tickles my funny bone sometimes. It's not one of my favorite comedies, because it's not exactly my thing, but I definitely appreciate the flexes. Next flex! And this one is from Hunter x Hunter. So, I've mentioned flexes in Hunter x Hunter before. In fact, I've mentioned one that had to do with Uvogen. In the biggest flexes of anime 2, I mentioned how Kurapika brought a shovel to fight Uvogen, knowing that he would win and then need to bury a corpse, which is relatively somber, but also a huge flex, and definitely needed to be reminded to everyone. But as far as Uvogen goes, he himself has quite the flexes, too. For a while in the Yorknu arc, they are hyping up this mafia to be so badass, everyone should be afraid of this mafia. And the top 12 guys in the mafia, the 12 Shadow Beasts. Now, they have such a cool name. It's like, you know, the Akatsuki, the Shadow Beasts. Both terrifying. I would argue Shadow Beasts are actually even scarier. But then when they're introduced, they end up such fodder for the Phantom Troop that no one remembers them with awe at all. When Uvogen first gets attacked, he's paralyzed from the neck down, and he still says to his guys, don't help me, I still got this. And his guys were like, yeah, obviously we're not gonna help you. Why would we waste our time? You deal with it. Let me recontextualize this for you for a second. The guy's paralyzed. Yeah, paralyzed, like can't move. From the neck down. All right, for most of you that don't know, that's like most of his body aside from his head. And he still wins. He yells so loud it bursts his opponent's eardrums. An enemy gets close, so he bites a chunk of his skull out and then spits it like a bullet to kill another guy. These are the Shadow Beasts, the really hyped guys. And as much as I appreciate the Uvogen flexes that he's so certain he's gonna win, even though he's paralyzed from the neck down, I'd argue that the bigger flexes are from the rest of the Phantom Troop that don't even think that they should bother helping the guy that's paralyzed from the neck down. And it's not that they don't care about him. When, well, tragedy befalls poor Uvogen, they're like all sad and stuff. They care about the guy, but this isn't even considered a dangerous situation for him. That's how certain they are that they're stronger than this extremely hyped up evil organization. That is a huge flex. Next flex! Because honestly, I could talk a lot more about the whole Phantom Troop flexing thing, but you know, different members of the Phantom Troop really deserve time to shine on different episodes of the biggest flexes in anime. I don't want to lump them all together as this one huge flex on how they're so much stronger than everyone else. And they know it, and you know, they're not afraid to show it. But for the final flex of this video, I wanted to talk about an anime series, again, that I don't think a lot of you have seen, and based on the title, you'll definitely know it's a light novel, and you thought there's never a girl online. So I'm gonna be straightforward with you guys. I mentioned Dokuro-chan, you know, the bludgeoning angel in the past, and well, that's not my type of comedy. This is. I laughed my butt off from just episode 1 of And You Thought There's Never a Girl Online. And I love flexes in comedy anime because they're not necessarily as somber and deep as, you know, Enel who gets people to think he's God, or the second Mizukage who's, you know, trying to convince people and tell them ways to beat him and they still can't, or even just the sheer force of the Phantom Troop. This is on a much smaller scale, and definitely a funnier one. So the story of And You Thought There's Never a Girl Online is about this dude who's playing an MMORPG, and he has like 3 close friends that he's made on the MMORPG. There's one that's kind of like his internet waifu, and there's a lot to like about this show just from the setup alone. We all love stories of not people that are trapped in an MMORPG. No. People that are playing an MMORPG and, you know, being skeptical skeptical about who they're actually meeting. The whole time that he has his online girlfriend and whatever, he's thinking to himself, all right, I'm gonna play this out even though it's probably a dude because, you know, no girls play MMORPG. And in this squad of 4, he ends up somehow finding out when they make a real life meeting that all 3 of the people of his squad are hot girls from his own school. And, well, honestly, just this setup alone, you have to see it. You have to at least watch episode 1 and see if you enjoy it. Because as surprised as he is that that's the case, the girls are even more surprised. You got your one tsundere, you got your one, well, very provocative one, and then you got the one that's actually the supposed love from the online game, and she's just like totally wacky shut-in, and she flexes on him trying to show how much she loves him in real life as well, and he's in the beginning, you know, kind of not sure about it, but his dude senses get to him, and he ends up somehow okay with it. You know, his sword goes online. The different girls are trying to outflex each other, even the tsundere somehow, you know, is a tsundere and ends up liking him, and he is inadvertently flexing on the entire school. How did he get such a goddamn badass harem of the most popular goyles? And you thought there's never a girl online is also in Crossing Void, and I'm so glad that it is, because honestly I forgot about this gem. I rewatched episode 1 and like highlights on YouTube right after writing this script, because a lot of it is actually comedy gold, and it's hilarious watching people get pissed at each other because they're accidentally flexing on other people because they love other people, even though they make believe they don't, and it doesn't make sense that they do. Hell yeah, most confusing and unlikely to ever happen love triangle of all time, but you know what? I'm definitely okay with it and waiting with open arms for that time that I am actually in a position like that, because God knows, I know I've never made a hentai video before, but I might actually have to. So with that said and done, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you liked the biggest flexes in anime, 16. I had a lot of really great flexes that I want to talk about for such a long time, like Izaya and Olivia, and even the second Mizukage, and Nell, the Phantom. Oh God, it's awesome. Man, I love making these videos. I don't do them a ton anymore because they made that whole light goal thing. So at this point, yeah, I want you to reach that light goal because I want to hit the quota so I can upload the biggest flexes in anime 17 within a week. I want you to do this. These are too fun to put together. Man, I love having a good time recording a video. You know, just talking about like the greatest moments in anime that made you originally fall in love with it. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe for future epic videos. Hell yeah, epic, yeah! Sorry if I didn't sound overly excited. I still have a cold and my voice is absolute crap, especially after recording for 30 minutes. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening. Once again, link in the description to the free download RPG Crossing Void Global. Thanks for the sponsor, fam. Keep on flexing and remember to stay weird, fam.